All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my thoughts on the Richardson Hitchens and Oscar Duarte fight being canceled yesterday in the sport of boxing. Now, on the Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia main card, there was one fight that was missing from the card last night, and that was Richardson Hitchens and Oscar Duarte. And actually, that fight was supposed to take place in the co-main event slot of that fight card between Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia, where Richardson Hitchens was set to defend his IBF super lightweight title against Oscar Duarte. Now, hours before the main card started, Richardson Hitchens reported that he was sick, he was ill, and due to his illness, he was unable to defend his title against Oscar Duarte. And I'm going to get into that, but my thoughts on Richardson Hitchens not being able to compete, I think it's crazy, I think it's bizarre, and it's very strange that Richardson Hitchens picked 2.5 to 3 hours before the main card started to pull out of the fight due to an illness. And you looked at the fight weigh-ins Friday between himself and Oscar Duarte. Richardson Hitchens didn't look like himself, making that brutal cut of 140 pounds. He looked weight drained, and it looked like the weight cut of 140 pounds was too much for him this time. Now, in combat sports, especially American fighters, in combat sports, whether it's MMA, whether it's boxing, weight cuts are very dangerous, and that goes to the weight bullies out there. Knowing that you cannot make the weight anymore, but I'm going to just stay at this weight so I can bully my opponent to be the bigger fighter. It just doesn't make sense. The weight cuts are very brutal. There's huge ramifications for your body if your body's not responding well to the cuts anymore. So if it's time for you to move up in weight, you need to move up. And in this situation, it was time for Richardson Hitchens, after he defeated George Kambosos last year, to move up to the welterweight division because he can no longer make 140 properly. And the title that he has doesn't make it better, because if you guys know, in the sport of boxing, if you're the IBF champion, there is a rehydration clause of 10 pounds, meaning boxers cannot rehydrate more than 10 pounds for the fight. So there was going to be a second, after the second weigh-in, Richardson Hitchens and Oscar Duarte could not weigh more than 150 pounds for their co-main event fight. Richardson Hitchens, after the second weigh-in, probably was feeling ill, probably was feeling sick, probably feeling the ramifications of the brutal weight cut. So, if Richardson Hitchens was smart trying to be a weight bully, and that's the reason why he could not make the fight between himself and Oscar Duarte, he would have tried to unify with one of these super lightweight champions and possibly do a unification fight. Because then the IBF rules go out the window if you make a title unification with another valid champion at the weight class. So he should have thought about that a long time ago if he's going to be a weight bully at 140. But Richardson Hitchens might have gotten ill with that second weigh-in, guys. And I think it's time for him to move up to 147. And I feel so bad for Oscar Duarte because the news broke 2.5, 3 hours away from the main card, or maybe even a little bit longer than that, before the main card. If you're not in Vegas, if you're not a local fighter in the same weight range as Oscar Duarte, it didn't do anybody any favors. And especially for Oscar Duarte, that did all the work of training camp, busted his ass, preparing to fight for his first world title opportunity, gets taken away from him without him being able to do anything about it. And I feel so bad. You bust your ass to get a shot at the world champion. You bust your ass to possibly win your first world title, and it's taken away from you. So if Richardson Hitchens is going to stay at this division, he owes Oscar Duarte an immediate shot at that IBF title. Or if he's not going to stay at this division, just move up to welterweight, vacate your title so Oscar Duarte could be next in line to fight for that vacant IBF title. My heart just goes out to him because you could tell he was just pissed the fuck off at that fight between Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia. And the main card was affected without a big co-main event fight that could have swung in the favor of Oscar Duarte. My pick was Richardson Hitchens. I ain't going to switch up like that and tell a lie to you guys. But, man, what if we got that fight last night? What would have happened? But again, if Richardson Hitchens stays at 140, he owes Oscar Duarte an immediate shot at his IBF title. But there's no reports of what has happened just yet as I record this segment Sunday evening. But I will say, if that report doesn't come out, I guarantee you that weight cut, that second weight cut of only rehydrating to 10 pounds, got Richardson Hitchens pretty good in the sport of boxing.